Hey, well, before we get into it, I want to welcome everybody to Two Dads Having a Beer, the show where we don't pretend to have it all figured out because we don't. This is where fatherhood meets real talk, no fake perfection, no increased polished scripts, just two dads, a couple of cold ones, and a whole lot of life experiences between the both of us. My name is Brandon Labonte. I am a dad of 10. It is a wild, blended family. I am a business owner. I am a recruiting manager. I am just a regular guy trying to figure it out one day at a time and one cold beer at a time as well. Every episode, we bring on a different dad where we're not worried about that person's title. We're just worried about that person's truth, that person's life, and that person being a dad. We talk about things that really matter. We talk about the mistakes that we've made as parents. We've talked about the great wisdom that we've learned as parents and all of the learning that we have done as adults along the way. And now that we've got that little segment behind us, let me tell you about tonight's guest dad. It's someone who has built more than just a career. He has built a legacy. His name is John Waldrop, and he is the general manager of Comfort Temp Heating and Air. He is a devoted husband. He is a proud dad, and he is the kind of guy that if your AC is broken, you want him fixing it because it's going to get fixed the first time. He's also a person that leads a team. He acts. He's in plays. He's in commercials. And he's also the kind of guy that, you don't want to challenge on family game night because he's going to win. He's that kind of a guy. And so without further ado, joining us all the way from Chiefland, Florida. Hey, John, I think your camera's a little bit messed up.
Yeah, sun coming in.
You have something that you can maybe turn that thing sideways or yeah, it's definitely right on it. Do you have anything you can fix that? Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, I knew it was going to come in. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I don't mind holding on. I mean, technical difficulties tell us that we are doing it live and we are doing it real and we are doing it right. And that is one of the things that we're trying to do. But yeah, so John Waldrop is coming all the way from Chiefland, Florida. He's cracking open a nice Coors Light as we dive into the stories, the struggles, and the sweet wins of the dad life. Let's give a big round of applause, if you can, if you can give me those hearts and likes on TikTok. I know you got some. John Waldrop, we appreciate you coming in with us tonight. And I know you guys can't necessarily hear us. Do you have your iPhone with you there, John?
Yes,
Do you
sir.
have TikTok on it?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, let me go ahead and ask you to join me here. Copy link. I'm going to share it with Johnny boy. It's on its way. We are actually doing a recording right now on the actual podcast, Two Dads Having a Beer. And it's really one of those things where we're just super in love with technology. And sometimes it is not our best friend, but sometimes it is, right? And so, hey, John, thank you so much for joining us today. What are you drinking? Let's start it off with that.
Coors Light.
You got a Coors Light.
Watch my figure,
You got to watch your figure. Well, let's on the count of three, let's open these suckers up and let's have a beer together. 1, 2, 3. Oh, and we're live and we're recording. What are you drinking? A Coors Light. I've got myself a Florida Avenue Brewing Company, a hazy IPA. This is the Lumi. I've actually bought a 6-pack of these and they're really, really good. Super delicious. After a long day, we all deserve one of these. Oh, man. So just a kind of quick reminder, our show is not about the beer. The beer just allows us to have conversations with a little bit more ease and less apprehension. So thank you so much for coming in tonight. You've been married to your wife, Misty. You guys have raised two amazing kids. I have had the opportunity to meet both of them. You've secured some of the biggest contracts for the organization that you work for in their entire company history, and yet you still find time to act in community plays. You have had a life of legacy, of leadership. You're a family guy who plays games still with your grown kids today. And you've grabbed your favorite beer. I've grabbed mine. And let's just get right into it. Where are you calling from? And why do you live in Chiefland, Florida, bro?
So I was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida. Moved to Gainesville many years ago just to get out of Jacksonville. Met my wife 25 years ago. And
You met your wife 25 years ago.
Yes. We were looking for a place, to raise kids eventually. So she was out looking one day and found this house, which I didn't like it at first because it didn't really have a huge yard. But this time in my life, I'm glad it wasn't a huge yard. But the house was built in 1912. So we went
1912. Your house was built in 1912.
Yes, 1912. So when we're walking through the house, it had carpet throughout it. I told her to take the ruler to another room. I pulled the carpet up and seen the original hardwood floors, and I'm like, we'll take it. So that's the first thing we did when we bought the house. We removed all the carpet, and I started sanding the floors and redoing them all.
So obviously you're a guy that likes to work with your hands. You've been in the trades your entire career, and clearly you're not only an HVAC guy, but you're a flooring professional as well. Tell us a little bit about your family, the names of your kids, how old they are, what they're doing, now that they're all grown up.
Okay, my son Jonathan, he's 20. This will be 21. My daughter, she's 19. Her name is Janya. Which a unique name. My wife actually came up with that.
So John, I'm just going to stop you right quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your name is John. You have a son named Jonathan, and you have a daughter named Janya.
Yes.
Do you see a trend here?
I see a trend. And so my son, when he graduated high school, he wanted to hold off a year for his sister to graduate so they can go to college together. Both of them attend Chipola College in Marianna, Florida.
Wow.
They're in the theater there. Their very first semester. They both got awards for their acting in the same play, which was pretty awesome. They were the only two. So that was a proud dad moment there.
That is that's actually fantastic. Again, acting is so difficult. A lot of people think that it's just easy, but no, man, you have literally got to transform who you are for the people that are watching you, and whatever the part that you're in. It's pretty amazing. How's your beer, buddy?
Good.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you still play games, family game night. And I just want to be absolutely clear. That is a very rare thing in families today. Now, it is a tradition that you have stuck with, and it has brought absolute connection for your family. Tell us a little bit about that.
So my wife loves games. So ever since the kids were little, she plays games with them. So I'll get home late at night and she goes, okay, let's play a game. I'm like, I'm tired. So now the new thing is my life is nothing but, and everybody says, a game. So I say my life's nothing but a game because we always play games. It's really fun. Actually, last night we went to Orlando. We went to Dave & Buster's. We played there for many hours, and we came home and sat at the table. We all played a game.
You guys drove to Dave & Buster's in Orlando, Florida.
Yes.
From Chiefland, and then came home in the same day.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for being a road warrior.
Yeah, I say sometimes I miss my calling. I should have been a truck driver.
Man, you know what? Being a truck driver, we could have called you Hawk, and you could have done arm wrestling. So what's one of your favorite moments that you have mentioned so I sent you a dad builder bio. So anybody who's watching, if you're a dad and you want to be on the show, I will send you a link to a guest dad bio builder, and you can just fill out some questions. But one of the things that you said, one of your favorite moments as a dad was when the day your son turned his head when you called him his name as a newborn. Tell me a
Yeah,
little bit about that moment, man. That's
so
really impressive.
yeah, it was kind of crazy. So the whole time my wife was pregnant, I always talked to her belly. I'd say, hey buddy, the whole time up until birth. And as he's coming out of the canal and the doctor's holding him, I say, hey buddy, and he turned his head and looked at me, and it was just like, whoa. So it was like kind of almost freaky, but it was like.
So what you're saying is like, so the entire time that your wife was pregnant, you were speaking into her belly, you were calling your son's name out, you were saying, hey buddy, hey buddy, hey buddy. And when he came out, like the moment he was born, he recognized your voice.
Yeah, the doctor was holding him, pulling him out, and when I said it, he just turned his head and looked at me. It was like, it's kind of freaky, but now as I look back on it, it was awesome.
That is an absolutely amazing moment that I'm not surprised why you cherish it. That is so, yeah, like you said, freaky, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there's something to be said for, parenting and the calming voice of the children that you raise. And even when they're in their most dire moments, right, you can just talk to them in a nice, calm voice, and kids just respond. It's amazing. I love that. So your career, your calling, these are things that I mentioned earlier. You can fix anything. Hardwood floors, you're not a hardwood floor guy, but if I happen to rip up my carpet and I see some old stuff, I'm calling you. But from the standpoint of what you are and what you do, tell me what you really do, man. Tell everybody what you really do.
So what I really do now is I build teams. I build good teams for the commercial and residential side that work well together, are very knowledgeable in the trade, and who together can fix anything.
I actually know firsthand how well you do. Some of the things that you do is build teams. They recognize your leadership. So maybe you could tell me a little bit about that biggest contract in the company's history. It's no big deal, right? No big deal, right? But tell me how much that really meant to you when you secured that thing.
So that one meant a lot to me. I'm not going to say the name of it, but this was a contract I had with another company for many years, and then when I left to come over to Comfort Temp, it took me a couple years for that contract to run out, and met back with the group and secured this contract, and it was the largest one in Comfort Temp's history, and it was actually larger than it was when I previously had gotten it at the other company that I used to work for. And not only did I get that, I got another section of this company also, which drove the value up, and I just signed another 2.5-year deal with both of them.
Wow. I mean, from the standpoint of, a great success in career, how long have you been doing HVAC?
I've been doing it longer than I am old, 38 years.
38 years of doing AC work, and you've done everything from residential to commercial, but you really flourish in that commercial side of the house, larger units. What's some of the biggest stuff that you've worked on, man?
Oh man.
Yeah, it's a great question.
I worked on an outside air machine. It was about the size of a semi-trailer.
A semi-trailer air conditioning unit.
Yes. It had its own mechanical room, had its own bathroom inside of the mechanical room on top of the roof.
Did you just say that it had its own bathroom?
Yes.
In the mechanical room.
In the mechanical
inside
room.
of the air conditioning unit.
On the roof. Yeah.
Why not just put a bed in there and sleep there?
You could have. You put a cot in there for sure.
Yeah, we're going to make sure that this thing is always running. By the way, here's my rent. My rent check.
Yeah,
That's pretty awesome.
really cool. Really cool.
Yeah, that is really awesome. So what does it mean, building teams? You said that that's what you do. You're a team builder. What does it mean to you, and how does that show up differently at work versus at home?
So building the team is choosing the right people. It's not just about the skill. It's about mindset, values, and potentials.
Yeah.
Um, you need to know who complements each other and not try to clone each other. That
Mm,
is establishing trust, defining shared vision, creating systems for growth. That's a
yeah.
big thing with our organization. And, as a recruiter, that's what everybody that comes in looking for a job, they're looking for that growth. So it's up to me to give any employee all the tools for them to grow. It's up to them to accept the tools and use them, but it's up to me to give them the tools to grow. Leading with culture, and putting team over ego.
Yeah, that is actually a fantastic statement, right? And one of the questions that I asked you in the Guest Dad Bio Builder, you said that you ask yourself sometimes, um, am I doing the right thing, right? And let me ask you that right now. Where does that question show up most often in your life right now?
Man, it's
This is
just it's always with me. Am I doing the right thing at work? Am I leading people in the right direction? Am I giving them the correct advice at home? Am I doing the right thing with my kids?
mm,
I could pretty much say so far between my wife and I, we've obviously done the right things with our kids. They turned out pretty daggum good so far.
I
Um,
agree.
so, but I question that with 45 employees.
Yeah.
I question that. What could I have done better to make them maybe not leave? Um, to do the right thing. So it's just something that you know I'm always questioning myself. Am I doing the right thing?
Right. Just a quick question. Have you had a chance to join that TikTok on your phone to go onto my profile? There's a lot of people watching us right now, and they're wondering who I'm talking to. And I wanted to say, man, first of all, yeah. So hit. Did you join? And then hit request join.
Let's see where it's at.
All right. Let me
I'm trying to
see.
see where it says request join.
Let me see here. Let me see if I can do that for you. Well, apparently I don't have enough followers to allow people to join me. So that's stupid. Anyway, I'm not really worried about that. What I am worried about is continuing this conversation with you, my man, because we are doing it live. And so you actually answered a question about a surprise, like a crazy story that happened in your life. And you said that you once pulled a woman and a child that from a car that drove into a pond. First of all, wild. Can you walk us through that event?
So this is this whole scenario just still today kind of gets me because my wife was doing a play for the church, so they had play practice. My wife called me, told me she couldn't make it. She needed me to go. I'm aggravated. Been working all day.
Yeah.
Tell her I don't want to go up there. She said I need you to go. So I ain't gonna lie, I was aggravated with her. Pouring down rain. It was in February, cold. I didn't want to go. So I ended up going. I took my kids. I told her ain't nobody gonna show up. So we went up there, and she said if nobody shows up by 7 o'clock, go ahead and leave.
Wow.
Well, 6:59, one kid shows up. So I'm like, what dadgummit, I gotta stay. Um, So
ruined my night, man.
yeah, so we're up there, and then their family comes and picks them up. I guess it was 7:30, 7:45 or whatever. They had prayer up there at the church, so everybody was gone, waiting on this kid's parents to pick him up. So as we're leaving, as we're going around the driveway, I just happened to look over at the pond, which I do every day. It's in front of the church.
Right.
And I see red lights in the pond.
Like in the pond, like you saw the tail lights?
Just the tail lights. I just seen barely red lights. And I asked the kids, I said, did they install lights in the pond? And they're like, I don't think so, Dad. So as I pull around to like I'm exiting, I turned the vehicle towards the pond. And when I did that, I seen a little tiny hand sticking up out of the water. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a baby in the pond. And before I can get my seatbelt off, my son done jumped out of the car, dove into the pond. And then I dove in behind him to, I got to make sure my kids are safe too. And he was able to grab the child. Wow. And get her up. And then I helped him over to the edge with the child, and my daughter grabbed her. And I said, take her, put her in the vehicle quick, turn the heat on full blast. And as I turn around, I'm swimming out towards the car while I see this lady floating face down.
No way.
So I had to pull her all the way to shore. And it's a man-made pond with like the rubber sides. So
yeah, so super slippery.
Yeah. And then the worst thing I ever had to do in my life is ask my kid to help me pull a dead person out of a pond. And I don't know where he got his strength from, but he grabbed her. And as I pushed, he yanked her up out of there. Then I was able to lean over and grab the grass and pull myself up. And the crazy thing about it, that morning we had did CPR training for my MSHA training that morning, and I was able to give her CPR, and we called 911. She had a pulse when they got there, and they continued and they rushed her to the hospital. Unfortunately, she passed away about 3 days later, but we did save the girl, and that next day it was that girl's 5th birthday.
Oh my goodness.
So just from me being aggravated to go up there, it was like God put me in that place at that time to be able to be there to do that.
John, that is one of the most heroic and touching stories that I have heard in a really long time. And to be honest with you, really, I mean, I didn't know that was going to be the ending of the story. And It is literally just, it's heart-wrenching, right? But it's also inspiring, because as a dad, you are putting your life on the line for other people in front of your children. But the beauty of that story that you shared was your son already was acting on behalf of somebody else, which is a clear indicator that they're being raised properly and raised to love other people and raised to put other people first. That is a huge kudos to you, regardless of the outcome. That is amazing parenting. And I just, thank you for sharing that, man.
Yeah.
That was deep.
A lot easier to talk about quite a few years later, but, I just, it's always in the back of your head, what your child did, and both of them, not only him, but her grabbing the girl and getting her warm. And the crazy thing about it is they couldn't believe the girl was still alive, because her temperature of her body
was so cold
that she shouldn't have made it. But, we wrapped her up in jackets and everything. And then when the firemen got there, they wrapped them up in their jacket and got her. But I was very proud of my kids that day.
I mean, absolutely. You should be proud of them. In fact, cheers. Cheers to your kids. Cheers to you, brother.
Now my wife says she can't make it somewhere, I'll just go.
You just show up. That's it.
I'm going. I ain't getting aggravated no more. You never know why.
So some of the things that you've been involved with in your life is you've been in 6+ different plays, like actual performances on stage in front of a crowd. You've been in 5 commercials. You've built sets for local schools. How did you get into all of that? And what role was your favorite one to play, bro?
So how I got into it is my daughter, I think her first play, heck, she was 3 or 5 years old. She wanted to be in a play. So we went and watched her, and I was like, man, that's pretty cool. And then next thing, I can't remember if it was my wife or me that was in the next play. And then the coolest thing was my daughter and my wife got to play in a comedy. It was called Rednecks Bite Back. It was one of those dumb but real funny ones.
You know, the funny part about is rednecks biting back is like you're only gonna get like 2 teeth in you.
Maybe one.
Maybe one, depending on the state. Just kidding. If you're watching, I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, it was that was real fun being in that play with both of them. But I think my favorite one, actually my wife and daughter were in this one together with me too, but the Wizard of Oz. I played the Tin Man.
The Tin Man.
And of course I'm in the AC business. I built my own costume.
Spiral duck on the arms.
Yes. Well, I did the round duck, fate, but I had to be able to move. And
right, yeah, you just get the stuff from the. It's like, why isn't our drying dryer not pushing air out of the house? And you're like, I don't know what happened.
I had to borrow some of the materials, and then I played Lurch in the Addams Family musical. That was pretty fun. I bought me some 6-inch platforms, so I was almost 6'10".
My goodness.
So
yeah, you're a big dude already.
Yeah, just kind of Sasquatched over everybody. That was a fun one. And then I really enjoyed dinner theater because you interact with the crowd. Because when you're on stage, you're not supposed to. It's called the fourth wall. You're not supposed to interact with people out in the crowd. But hey, they come to watch it. I like to interact with them. So dinner shows are great for that. Murder mysteries and different things like that. It's fun.
Yeah, I went to a Knights jousting event one day in Orlando, and that was a really fun event. And they definitely are interactive. They're not very nice to you when they're serving your food. They like call you names and stuff like that. So hey, listen, what's the hardest thing about being a dad today?
Hardest thing now is when my kids moved away to college. Not being there with them every single day. It was cool for the first month because they would FaceTime me every day, and then they met friends. So it'd be maybe once a week, down to maybe just a phone call or 2 a week. But the good thing about that, they were in plays every time it turned around, show choir. So I got to see them every couple of weeks. Just not having them at the house every single day. Of course, I have them back for the summer. But my daughter, she's directing a play at High Springs Theater right now.
High Springs, Florida. If you guys are local and you guys are in the area, when does that play start?
I think it starts, I'll have to find out exactly. It's in July. Percy Jackson, Lightning Thief.
Ooh, sounds fun.
Yes, and it's a musical, and these kids have some amazing talent. Amazing, these kids can sing. I was like blown away.
I mean, I was never a drama guy, but I've always admired those kids that could do that. I love singing, I love performing, and I love being in front of people, but being in drama was something that I wasn't really super into. I had friends that were. So when you can get up and you can perform in front of people and do it for hours, like 2 hours of content, and you have to memorize every single line, that is a very, very difficult thing to do. A couple of more questions before we close it up, John. First of all, thank you, man, for coming in. Cheers.
Appreciate you, brother.
Don't forget that we're drinking a beer together.
Yeah, man.
What is your favorite way to decompress after a long week?
Some people might think I'm crazy. I I just like to drive in silence, don't answer my phone, go home, go out in the yard, whether I'm digging a hole, raking up something 12 times. I like to be outdoors. And I just like to hear the creatures make noise,
Man.
not the phones, not
God's creatures,
God's creatures,
not Microsoft's creatures.
Yeah, no doubt.
That is a great way to decompress. So this is the final question of the day. The send-off, we might say. What is one piece of wisdom, some sage advice you hope your kids and anybody who's listening, listen, there's guys out there who are just like you. They have kids that have gone off to college. They have kids that are in their final year of high school, and that's about to happen. You know, they love their parents, but they also know that their life is about to start on a whole new level. So maybe some wisdom that you hope your kids carry with them into adulthood that you could share with those people that are listening. Let's take a deep breath. Let's slow down. Let's turn this into an emotional moment. Just kidding. Do what you can do.
Well, I kind of wrote something up what I want my kids to remember about me. And as a parent, I couldn't imagine doing anything any different. I want them to remember that I showed up no matter where your games were, your plays were, your school events. I was there. I never missed a doctor's appointment, even before you were born. I sat with your mother because I wanted to be a part of every moment. I made sure to be there for all your checkups, every step of the way, until you could run on your own. I want you to know that I just didn't provide, I sacrificed. I did without, so you could not just have what you needed, but what you dreamed of. Because seeing you smile, grow, and thrive meant more to me than any money could buy. If you remember nothing else, remember this. You were never alone. I was there, and I always will be every step you take.
John, wow. I want to be your kid. that was an absolute beautiful statement, something that is truly heartfelt, and I am glad that I was able to hear that. And so obviously there are people watching us right now that don't know how to follow you. What's your handles that we could share on the TikTok, on Facebook, and maybe a little bit about the organization that you work for if they're needing some AC work?
So Facebook is John Waldrop.
Just Facebook is John Waldrop.
Yeah. TikTok, man, I just watch a lot. I don't do a whole lot on it. Maybe I'll start getting better on it. But heck, I already forgot what my thing is. I think it's I'll have to see. I don't even remember what my thing is on TikTok.
That's okay. A lot of people do use TikTok for a lot of purposes, like just to watch other people's cool stuff, and so it's no big deal. But John Waldrop on Facebook.com, and then you want to share the organization. Are they running any specials right now? If you're living in the Gainesville, Alachua County area,
yeah, Comfort Temp Heating and Air.
Comfort Temp Heating and Air.
352-376-2366. Right now, our big special is $1,000 off any install.
$1,000 off any air conditioner install on residential.
Yes.
Man, that's a great deal. What kind of units are you guys pushing right now at Comfort Temp Heating and Air?
So we're not proprietary. So what that means is we can buy any brand that you like, whether it be Carrier, Train, Lennox, York, ICP. Whatever you want, we can give you multiple choices with each brand.
Fantastic. Well, that's it definitely makes it easy for the homeowner to make some considerations on how their budgets can be met with the different levels of unit that they're putting in their house. Obviously, from gold status all the way down to the silver status, and they're all things in between. I wanted to thank you so much for joining me tonight. I want to thank John Waldrop for dropping wisdom, for dropping laughter, for dropping deep emotional content. Like, I felt like I was going to cry a couple of times tonight. It's one of the first times that this conversation has really kind of hit home for me on some of the things that you're talking about, and if there's guys out there that are listening to the show, watching the show, and this really hit home with you, make sure that you like, you follow, and you subscribe. Don't forget to go to comforttempheatingandair.com. It's actually comforttemp.com, and you can look at all of their specials that they got going on right now. If you're listening to this, remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being present. And if you stub your toe at night, you're in good company, because we all do that. But be sure to follow and share this episode with another dad who needs to have a heart check, who has to have some new air conditioning checked out, right? Because John isn't just about building buildings. He's also about building a legacy. Until next time, let's keep this show moving. Let's keep this show going. Let's keep this love moving forward. Dads supporting dads, and one beer at a time. Cheers. Thank you guys so much for joining. John, man, I appreciate you so much. I'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. Bye.